The Shanghai Cooperation Organization is holding a meeting of foreign ministers, and India's own External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj is in attendance. The SCO delegates met with the Kyrgyz president today in Bishkek. During this meeting, Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi and the Indian Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj were seated next to each other. Now, this is the first time that top government functionaries of both countries have come face to face, and the first time that Mrs. Swaraj and her Pakistani counterpart Qureshi were seen under the same roof following the Pulwama attacks. Remember, ties have been strained between the two sides after the attack that killed 40 CRPF men and was followed by the Indian Air Force striking Jaish-e-Mohammed terror launch pads deep inside Pakistan. Now, India will strongly raise the issue of cross-border terror at the SCO. The meeting comes at a time when Pakistan is keen to push the restart button and has been seeking talks with India. India maintains that talks and terror can't go hand in hand. Not to forget that Imran Khan has suggested that he wants Prime Minister Modi to come back with a mandate that he thinks would allow the two sides to iron out their differences. But India is still waiting for Pakistan to walk the talk on previous commitments. On Monday, Pakistan appointed career diplomat Moinul Haq as the new High Commissioner to India. India is also going to raise the issue of region-specific terror weeks after it successfully ensured a global blacklisting of Jaish-e-Mohammed head Masood Azhar at the UNSC. India, through its successful issue-based negotiations, has made Pakistan-based cross-border terror a central theme on international platforms. The SCO is a significant part of this plan. It includes Pakistan's iron brother China as well as Russia. The SCO was founded in Shanghai in 2001 by the presidents of Russia, China, Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. In 2007, India joined as an observer member, but a decade later, in 2017, India got full membership of the SCO, as did Pakistan. India has carved a space for itself in a group dominated by China and Russia ever since. Right, so the Foreign Affairs Ministers' meet is underway in Uzbekistan. Already, India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj has arrived there. In Kyrgyzstan, and of course the meeting taking place in Bishkek. It's extremely interesting also for a viewpoint when it comes to ties between India and Pakistan. Now, do remember there have been escalating tensions between both sides ever since the February 14th Pulwama attack, in which no less than 40 CRPF personnel of India were killed in a suicide attack. India launched retaliatory strikes on Pakistan. They were preemptive strikes, striking, of course, on terror launch pads across the border in Pakistan. These were referred to as the Balakot airstrikes of February 26. There was a dogfight that ensued between both sides the next morning itself on February 27th. Now, keeping all of this tension between the two countries in mind, it is interesting to note how Sushma Swaraj there on your screens, the only woman member standing amongst all the other foreign ministers who've gathered in Bishkek. Let me go across to WION's principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, who joins me on the phone line for more on this story. Siddhant, India, of course, has carved out a space for itself within the SCO since getting full membership status. But really speaking, for many observers in India and Pakistan, this meeting is also going to be about a possible pull aside and a conversation between Mr. Qureshi and Mrs. Swaraj.
Well, the chances of a pull-aside meeting is very, very dim given the relationship both the countries have. And, of course, we have seen how relationships have panned out in last 5 years of the current administration. Today, of course, in a sense, is the last day because tomorrow the results will be announced and we will be having a new government. But today, what has happened is for the first time, both the Indian minister, the Indian foreign minister and the Pakistani Foreign Minister are, in a sense, face-to-face under one roof ever since the Pulwama terror attack, and also since their last face-to-face, in a sense, they were under the same roof. There was, of course, no meeting on the sidelines of the UNGA. when, of course, the Pakistanis said they would like to meet, but then, of course, there was an attack in Kashmir, and we saw that India cancelled the entire meeting, which was to happen on the sidelines of the UNJ in New York. So, by and large, no meeting is expected. Of course, they are under the same roof, and India is strongly going to raise the issue of terrorism, cross-border terrorism. That has been the main issue for India in the entire relationship. We have seen there have been absolutely no talks between India and Pakistan since many, many years. India did try to have conversation. The Indian Prime Minister, remember, on 25th of December 2015, landed in Lahore from Afghanistan, and that was considered a path-breaking initiative by the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But what happened was Pathankot, and ever since we have seen relationships going backwards.
Siddhant, thanks very much for bringing us that perspective. I'm also joined by WION's Associate Editor Ramesh Ramachandran from the WION newsroom for more on the story. Just a reminder for our viewers, though, these are live visuals coming your way from Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan, where the SCO Foreign Ministers meet is underway. Ramesh, I think it's safe to say that following Pulwama, the relationship between India and Pakistan has pretty much flatlined. Is there any chance at all of there being any sort of jump start to the ties between the two countries before the elections?
Well, before the elections, most unlikely, Aisha. But if the pictures are anything to go by, it's interesting to note that the two ministers, Sushma Swaraj and Shah Mahmood Qureshi, stood beside each other as the Kyrgyz foreign minister walked in to shake hands with them. So that, to my mind, is something interesting. But I'm told since then, the seating arrangement has been changed and the two are not sitting beside each other, number one. Number two, Prime Minister Modi and his government have been consistently saying that talks and terror cannot go hand in hand. It looks very unlikely that India and Pakistan can come together and sit under one roof and discuss about outstanding issues. But that said, come the 15th or the 14th of June, Prime Minister Modi might be in attendance in Kyrgyzstan for the SCO summit, where Imran Khan will also be present. So it remains to be seen whether between now and the middle of next month, can the two sides resolve the differences, at least come to an understanding on the way forward in taking their bilateral ties. All
right, and to go beyond just the India-Pakistan question, a lot, of course, riding on who comes to power tomorrow, Ramesh, but beyond that, looking at the SCO itself, the fact that there is an ongoing trade war between the United States and China, the fact that there have been embargoes placed by the United States on any country thinking of procuring oil from Iran. So there are a number of global shifts afoot right now. So I suppose this would be an interesting case for India to sort of align itself with, other countries, with other fora to tackle, so to speak, the outcomes of these two huge issues regarding the US and China and US and Iran.
Very interesting question, Aisha. Look at the composition of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO. There are 5 Central Asian countries. There are Russia and China, of course, India, Iran and Pakistan. Clearly, the focus will be on regional and global issues, including, as you mentioned, the current geopolitical tensions in the region and beyond. From India's perspective, India's focus will clearly be on the issue of cross-border terrorism, counter-terrorism, Iran's issue, the Iran nuclear deal issue, which India believes is of immense concern to us. It's given us lots of anxious moments in terms of energy security, connectivity. So Iran, the regional crisis, counterterrorism, all can expect it to be on the agenda of Minister Swaraj's intervention at the SCO meeting tomorrow.
All right. Stay with me, Ramesh. Let me go back to Siddhant Sibal, who's also with us on the broadcast. Siddhant, what I can gauge very clearly from the conversation with both you and Ramesh is that cross-border terror, India's fight against terror emanating out of Pakistan is going to be critical at this meeting. And of course, it comes in view of the fact that India's finally successfully managed to have, Masood Azhar listed. All right, I'm being told we've lost our connection with Siddhant Sibal. Let me take that question across to Ramesh Ramachandran, my colleague who's with us on the broadcast. Ramesh, this meeting, of course, follows the UNSC listing of the the LET chief, that is Masood Azhar. That's also going to be an interesting backdrop to all of this. India has, of course, made it a point to bring up the scourge of Pakistan-based terror in the region and elsewhere at almost every multilateral forum.
Absolutely, Aisha. The Masood Azhar issue was one outstanding issue between India and China on the one hand and India and Pakistan on the other. But if the events of the last few weeks are any indicator, the one big takeaway from all of this is that you can squeeze Pakistan to make China squeal. That's a big takeaway from this development, Aisha, that India can bring upon itself to make Pakistan deliver on its commitments on the issue of counterterrorism cooperation, at the same time force China to compromise on the issue, to stand down on the issue, and allow this to be adopted by the UN Security Council Sanctions Committee. Now, that said, the context is the informal summit between Modi and Xi in Wuhan. It remains to be seen where the two countries go together from here onwards, especially in the light of the fact that the two leaders will be meeting later this year in India. So, between now and the next meeting, both sides can be expected to firm up their agenda items, especially on the issue of nuclear supplies groups, which is one outstanding issue still bedeviling the India-China relationship.